As a new year begins, space fans like us will get a new gift. The gift is the incoming Flight 7 of the Starship. With this flight, SpaceX will make a breakthrough in the space industry. Why is this trip so important? Well, that's what I'll explain to you in this video. The date has been set. According to the documents filed by NASA with the FAA, Flight 7 will be targeted no earlier than January 11th. This means we'll get to see the first flight of the next-gen Starship only 53 days after Flight 6. But there is one thing different this time. This upcoming flight will debut the second generation of Starship, or Starship V2. While the first version was primarily intended to test Elon's idea, this second version will feature major changes and upgrades to help make the idea a reality. The first thing we notice is the change in size. At 52.1 meters tall, V2 is almost 2 meters taller than V1. With this change in size, the fuel and cargo capacity, as well as the overall weight of the ship, increased significantly. This required improvements in the power of the booster. One clue is that the Booster 14 used this time has already undergone a spin prime test, even though they decided to skip this test on the previous launch. This shows that improvements have been made to Booster 14, which they must have thoroughly tested before using it to launch Starship V2. On this upcoming flight, Starship V2 will be equipped with a new heat shield similar to the one used on Flight 5. Starship uses approximately 18,000 hexagonal heat shield tiles to cover the belly of the vehicle, many of which are a standardized hexagonal shape. Unlike the Space Shuttle heat shield, which was designed to fit different locations on the spacecraft. While this would provide good protection, each heat shield was different, making replacement and manufacturing a living hell. By having the majority of them as a common design, Starship's heat shield is easier to build, install, and maintain. This reduces preparation time between flights and aligns with SpaceX's goal of increasing Starship's flight frequency. In the older version of the heat shield used in Starship, SpaceX applied a white thermal blanket in the open area beneath all of the pinned tiles. This likely served as backup thermal protection. However, old heat shields are often vulnerable to damage during re-entry. Under extreme conditions, some fall off, and the secondary containment material is not sufficiently heat-resistant enough to replace them. Therefore, from the fifth flight, SpaceX developed a new heat shield. According to Elon, the new heat shield tile is about twice as strong as the old ones. In addition, an ablative secondary structure is added beneath it, so that when the tiles are destroyed, the layer underneath would protect the ship. Elon Musk recently teased a potential major change in the thermal protection system. SpaceX might bring back metallic shielding. The shield would be supplemented by ullage gas or liquid film cooling. They had abandoned this idea because they thought it would add weight and complexity to the spacecraft. Elon recently reconsidered this idea because he wants Starship to be ready for the next flight immediately without refurbishment. However, as the first Block 2 flight approaches, it is unlikely that such a major change will be made, at least for Ship 33. The heat shield wasn't the only thing that changed on Flight 5. During that flight, SpaceX changed its landing method. To eliminate the need for landing legs, SpaceX has built a Starship catching system called Mechazilla. This system has successfully caught the B-12 booster, but Elon intends for the system to capture both the upper and lower stages of the Starship. Therefore, Starship Block 2 will have an additional part for the Mechazilla arm to grip when landing. During the sixth Starship test flight, SpaceX intentionally removed the heat shields in this area to prepare for this new part. However, according to Elon Musk's tweet posted on X, the upper stage of Starship will still land on the ocean on the upcoming 7th flight. Instead, they will perform the upper stage catch on the 8th flight. Another thing that changes in version 2 of the Starship is its flap. The most noticeable is the flap's angle has shifted more to the leeward side. This would increase aerodynamic and reduce stress in the re-entry process. Elon said the old 180-degree flap requires a large static arrow and is not fully stowed, so which pushes the nose backward during the high-heating hypersonic phase. One of the primary concerns during re-entry is the thermal stress on the vehicle. Starship V2 forward flaps have also been designed with improved heat shielding to withstand the extreme temperatures encountered during atmospheric re-entry. All of these upgrades make the V2 more heat-resistant, as well as easier to manufacture. However, these improvements to the V2 did not come naturally, but were the result of many trials and failures over the years. It all started in the year 2016, when SpaceX unveiled its vision for the Interplanetary Transport System, or ITS, a massive rocket capable of carrying humans to Mars. The ITS design consisted of two stages: the Super Heavy booster, which would provide the initial thrust to escape Earth's atmosphere, and the Starship upper stage, which would carry passengers and cargo into deep space. The ITS concept was massive, with a payload capacity of up to 100 tons to LEO. However, the design was rapidly refined and evolved, eventually becoming the Starship system we know today. Unlike earlier spacecraft, Starship is designed to carry both crew and cargo to a variety of destinations, including low Earth orbit, LEO, the Moon, Mars, and potentially other celestial bodies. Over the past decade, the development of Starship has undergone several phases of testing and refinement. SpaceX performed the first flight test on April 20, 2023. It was not smooth. The prototype vehicle was destroyed less than 4 minutes after lifting off from the SpaceX Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas. Despite that, the vehicle became the most powerful rocket ever flown, breaking the half-century-old record held by the Soviet Union's N-1 rocket. It was the first time that the Super Heavy booster and the Starship spacecraft flew together as a fully integrated Starship launch vehicle. Since then, many more test flights have been made. Although not all of them have been successful, each time the Starship project has made significant improvements. From engines and heat shield upgrades to the construction of a rocket-capturing tower upon landing called Mechazilla. The most recent 6th test flight marked an important milestone as the final test flight of Block 1. During this flight, Elon Musk deliberately challenged the ship's limits from many angles to collect important data for the future development of Starship. The start of this test flight went smoothly. To the cheers of everyone, Booster 13 fired up its engines, sending the Starship and its banana passenger into flight. At T+239, the Starship upper stage hot-staged from Super Heavy and continued its ascent. Although Super Heavy was supposed to return to Starbase, the booster catch was called off due to a loss of communication to the launch tower. It was later found that during launch, a communications and weather station antenna were bent from the engine plume. Instead, Super Heavy came down for a controlled landing 32 kilometers downrange in the Gulf of Mexico, where it soon broke up. On this flight, the Ship 31 upper stage has a different mission than other flights. The ship re-entered the atmosphere at a steeper angle to test the limits of the flaps, and certain parts were outfitted with new thermal protection materials. Certain areas of the heat shield were removed in anticipation of the addition of catch hardware on future ships, which will be needed to land the ship on the arms of the launch tower. Faced with Elon's challenge, Ship 31 performed beyond expectations. The upper stage Starship spacecraft reached an initial apogee of 190 kilometers and a perigee of 8 kilometers at a 26.3-degree orbit, marking the first time Starship has had a positive perigee. Starship re-entered the atmosphere at 22:47:13, and at 23:05:24, Starship performed a controlled splash down in the Indian Ocean, which marked the first time Starship landed from space during daylight hours. After this flight, one thing I always wonder is what kind of payload will be used on Flight 7, and more importantly, will it survive? Give me your best guess down below. That's the past. What about the future? Flight 7 is just the beginning. If this flight is successful, the Starship project will move forward in unprecedented ways. Beyond test flights, we will begin to see Starship in action. First, with the installation of the PEZ dispenser, thousands of Starlinks will be launched into space by Starship. Next, a space refueling system will be set up, allowing Starship to have enough fuel to reach every planet in the solar system. Then, Starship will be modified into different versions to serve each specific mission. One of them will become the lunar landing system for the Artemis 3 mission, which is expected to return our astronauts to the Moon after more than 50 years. Finally, Elon Musk will do what he promised, sending humans to explore Mars and the planets beyond the solar system. Back to the present. As the day of takeoff got closer, the atmosphere at Starbase grew increasingly busy. The ship underwent rigorous testing procedures. I was still excited after watching the static fire test of Booster 14 a few days ago. Seeing firsthand the power of the rocket that will launch the next generation of Starship was truly an unforgettable experience. However, the spacecraft was not the only thing that needed to be prepared for a successful flight. A smooth flight requires flawless performance of all elements. Everything must be tested. From the launch tower to the launch pad was carefully prepared and checked. After the sixth flight, the launch tower was quickly and thoroughly repaired to ensure that no further connection failures occurred. In this preparation work, we can see the team of engineers and experts working day and night with the highest intensity. Behind each piece of technology, behind every precision movement, lies a team united by a singular purpose: to reach new heights, to venture farther, to break barriers, and to show the world that the impossible is only a step away from reality. Everyone at SpaceX is working hard to get ready for Flight 7. The aerospace experts and fans are ready. Are you ready? Write "I'm ready" in the comments if you are as excited about Flight 7 as I am. Starship Flight 7 is not just another launch. It's the culmination of years of work, relentless pursuit of excellence, and the embodiment of what happens when people refuse to back down from challenges. This flight is more than fuel and metal. It's the heartbeat of progress, the courage to face the unknown. With this, we will open a new beginning for Starship in particular, and space science in general.
It's worth noting that Tesla is the last car company still manufacturing cars in California. SpaceX is the last aerospace company still doing significant manufacturing in California. So there used to be over a dozen car plants in California, and California used to be the center of aerospace manufacturing. My companies are the last two left. I want to emphasize, so that's a very important point to make. For myself, yes, I have moved to Texas.
Elon Musk has a plan for Mars colonization. He initially thought that the hub of the aerospace industry, California, was the ideal launch pad for his dreams, before realizing how bad the regulatory system was there. Texas then emerged as a beacon for this opportunity. Fewer regulations are an attractive feature here. But for an analytical person by nature like Elon, the benefits of Texas extend far beyond regulatory ease, all of which would never be available on the densely populated West Coast. Recognizing these advantages, Musk has capitalized on Texas in ways that the world has never seen before. SpaceX used to have close contact with California, given that the company was first headquartered in a warehouse in El Segundo, California. Later, in 2008, they moved to Hawthorne, California in 2008, where they designed and built its reusable rockets and spacecraft. In its nearly 20 years there, SpaceX has inherited and advanced the remaining legacy of the aerospace industry in California, as SpaceX's CEO, Elon Musk, shared. Boeing and Lockheed moved their rocket production from California to Alabama. SpaceX took over an abandoned aerospace building in LA County and turned it into the highest volume rocket producer in the world. Its presence in this state is also manifested through building many infrastructures serving for developing the rocket system. Most notable is SpaceX's old Hawthorne headquarters, where thousands of employees already build Falcon 9 rockets and Dragon spacecraft. SpaceX's other major Southern California facility is at Vandenberg Air Force Base near Lompoc, where the company launches a handful of satellites each year for commercial and civil customers. These are just a few of a lot of heavy manufacturing planned for a region and state that are often derided for chasing away factories and large headquarters operations with high costs and regulations. Talking about the reason for the decision to maintain its operations in Southern California, Elon said, "These were done in spite of, not because of, the California government. It would be far lower cost to manufacture in other states, which is why our competitors moved out of state. That was because I lived in California. In fact, Southern California is home to a vast aerospace talent pool, which SpaceX leverages for its engineering needs. The majority of SpaceX's workforce, over 6,000 employees, is based locally, emphasizing the importance of access to skilled labor. This stems from the location's history as the center of many breakthroughs in the space industry, including the Apollo spacecraft, NASA's Space Shuttle, and the first GPS satellite. In addition, can't help but mention the state's number of tax breaks and incentives over the years, including more than $3.2 billion in direct and indirect California subsidies and favorable tweaks to market mechanisms since 2009. However, all of those advantages cannot overshadow its disadvantages. Musk has long complained about doing business in California, stating in 2022 that the Golden State was the land of taxes, overregulation, and litigation. Elon's disagreement with California politics, particularly Governor Gavin Newsom, has only grown over time. Elon also said he's had enough of dodging gangs of violent drug addicts just to get in and out of the building. The decision to move SpaceX's headquarters from California to Texas was made in July, following his strong opposition to a new California law that prohibits schools from notifying parents about their child's gender identity changes. Musk described this legislation as the final straw, claiming it attacks both families and companies. Texas then has emerged as a beacon of opportunity for SpaceX, particularly with its Boca Chica launch site. SpaceX established its first Texas facility in McGregor in 2003. This 4,000-acre rocket development site became essential for engine testing and systems validation. Every Merlin engine powering Falcon rockets undergoes rigorous testing here. In 2014, SpaceX chose Boca Chica Village near Brownsville for its new launch site. This location offered proximity to the equator and access to the Gulf of Mexico. Thus, Elon Musk can envision Boca Chica as a gateway to Mars missions. Construction began in 2015, transforming the area into a bustling spaceport. SpaceX invested heavily in infrastructure, building launch pads, fuel storage facilities, and tracking systems. Here, the company has conducted rapid test flights and iterated on its Starship technology with remarkable speed, something that would be nearly impossible in California's regulatory maze. Clearly, Starship's rapid progress has not been without the support of the Texas government. Back in 2011, in a glass-walled conference room at the California headquarters of Space Exploration Technologies, Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk told Texas officials he was interested in building the world's first commercial rocket launch pad in their state, if the state could compete. In the months after that meeting, state and local officials gave Musk, a billionaire, what he sought: about $20 million of financial incentives, laws changed to close a public beach during launches, and legal protection from noise complaints. Texas officials said they're necessary to lure jobs sought by many other states, and more importantly, they knew that Musk's SpaceX was wonderful for the economy here and their children's future. The deal was sweetened with $15.3 million in incentives from the state of Texas at that time. Everything became more remarkable when SpaceX applied for a license to put Starship into orbit. Throughout 2021, things were more headache. Politicians debated the benefits of the launch complex. Lawyers dueled over regulations. And environmentalists raised concerns about how the giant rocket factory and growing launch site would impact wildlife. As not known for patience, Musk later warned that the FAA delays could lead to Starship's first orbital flight, happening outside Texas, specifically Kennedy Space Center. Under that situation, Texas Governor Abbott vowed to fight for SpaceX to launch from Boca Chica. What I am going to do if Biden interferes with the ability of SpaceX to launch from Boca Chica. I am going to be working every step of the way to make sure that they are going to be able to launch from Boca Chica. Talk the talk and walk the walk. Texas Governor Greg Abbott called on the state legislature to provide $350 million to create and fund a Texas Space Commission for the next 2 years. Of course, Abbott also isn't the only one pushing the FAA to approve quickly for SpaceX. Sergio Tito Lopez, chairman of the Brownsville Navigation District that runs the city's port, expressed his support that he had been in communications with the region's 2 congressmen about how to pressure the FAA to grant environmental approval for the Boca Chica site so SpaceX doesn't up and leave. This is totally in contrast to what California's officials have done to hinder the company's rocket launches in Vandenberg Space Force Base, especially after Elon Musk presented himself as one of the biggest supporters of Donald Trump's campaign in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Obviously, there was more to this transition from California to Texas than just spiting his perceived enemies. While Texas is not the only state where politicians support SpaceX, it offers significant benefits that California simply cannot match. This place boasts vast open land that allows for large-scale operations and future growth. This availability of space is crucial for SpaceX as it continues to scale its production and testing capabilities, something that is increasingly difficult in the densely populated areas of California. With less traffic to contend with, employees can navigate their daily commutes more efficiently. This translates into increased productivity and a better work-life balance for SpaceX staff, enabling faster movement of personnel and resources. The lower cost of living in Texas due to lower taxes, particularly regarding housing, makes it an attractive destination for young talent. Affordable homes can draw skilled workers who might otherwise be deterred by California's exorbitant real estate prices. The regulatory framework in Texas is generally less restrictive than in California, allowing SpaceX to operate with greater flexibility. This reduction in bureaucratic hurdles can accelerate development timelines and foster innovation. In short, political support, large areas of open land, easy access, lower operating costs, and fewer restrictions are factors that help Texas overtake California. Of course, it's no coincidence that the world's richest person enjoys enthusiastic support from the Texas government. As Brownsville Commissioner Rose Gowan aptly put it, SpaceX's presence represents a monumental leap forward for the community. Our children's future just took a huge step forward, and our community is well on its way to becoming a vibrant and thriving community. Several of Musk's companies in Texas, including SpaceX, Tesla, The Boring Company, X, and Neuralink, have directly created thousands of jobs in Texas. SpaceX alone has generated over 3,400 full-time positions at its Starbase facility in Boca Chica, while Tesla's Gigafactory Texas employs more than 22,000 workers, making it Austin's largest private employer. As usual, this influx of high-tech jobs and the favorable conditions here have attracted skilled workers from across the country. This new thing has stimulated local economies, particularly in areas like Austin and Brownsville. The economic activity generated by SpaceX and Tesla has stimulated local economies, leading to increased business for surrounding industries, including hospitality, retail, and services. Additionally, Musk's ventures have prompted significant investments in infrastructure and real estate. The establishment of Tesla's Gigafactory has led to increased demand for housing and commercial properties in the vicinity, driving up real estate prices and transforming the local market. Thanks to that, Musk's activities have positioned Texas as a burgeoning hub for technology and innovation. His decision to relocate key operations to the state has attracted other tech firms and startups, enhancing Austin's reputation as a leading center for technological advancement and entrepreneurship. Beyond business, Musk is reportedly involved in community initiatives, including plans for educational institutions. His pre-kindergarten Montessori school, dubbed Ad Astra in Texas, paves the way for Elon Musk to start building out ambitious, STEM-focused education plans that could eventually entail multiple independent K-12 schools and even a college within the state. This independent school in Bastrop is Musk's second major attempt to push into education. An earlier Ad Astra school was conceived roughly a decade ago when Musk approached his son's then fourth-grade teacher about starting a school for his own kids and those of SpaceX employees. An article in Business Insider last year also revealed Elon Musk's plan to launch his own university in Austin, Texas. This is being done through one of Musk's charities, named the Foundation, and he has donated about $100 million to create a school that will cater to elementary school through high school-age children. The program will be focused on teaching in STEM subjects and plans for an initial enrollment of about 50 students. With these developments, we have the right to hope for a vibrant and developing Texas in the future, as opposed to a city rife with crime and homelessness like California today. The California government once believed it could stifle SpaceX by hindering its launch capabilities. But they couldn't have been more wrong. Instead of slowing down, these obstacles have only fueled SpaceX's determination to enhance its operations in another site, Florida. Indeed, Elon Musk's rocket company is now shaking up the entire space industry with its ambitious plans at Cape Canaveral. This demonstrates an unwavering commitment to a future where they can conduct rapid, high-volume launches toward their ultimate goal, colonizing Mars. So, what exactly are their plans? How close are they to realizing this vision? For 7 years, SpaceX has left its significant footprint in Kennedy Space Center's historic launch complex, 39A, home of the Apollo and Space Shuttle programs. After NASA opened up the pad for commercial use, Blue Origin and SpaceX both submitted a bid. Blue Origin requested shared non-exclusive use of the complex, while SpaceX wanted to use it exclusively. On December 13, 2013, NASA announced the selection of SpaceX as the new commercial tenant. The agreement was signed on April 14, 2014, giving SpaceX the exclusive use for 20 years. Modifications for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches soon followed. The first launch was on February 19, 2017, for Commercial Resupply Services 10. Since then, this location has witnessed frequent SpaceX launches, up to 93 missions including 81 Falcon 9 and 11 Falcon Heavy in total, as of November 17. Besides KSC, there is another launch facility in Florida, Cape Canaveral Space, Launch Complex 40, SLC-40, which SpaceX leased in 2007 for Falcon 9 rocket launch, with the initial launch in 2010. With over 220 Falcon 9 launches as of November 2024, the number of Falcon 9 launches here surpasses that in LC-39A. That's about launch. For landing, SpaceX has Landing Zone 1 and Landing Zone 2, also known as LZ-1 and 2LZ-2 respectively, are landing facilities at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, used by SpaceX. They allow the company to land the first stage of its Falcon 9 rocket or the two side boosters of its Falcon Heavy rocket. The frequency use of LZ-1 is significantly higher than LZ-2, since Falcon 9 boosters mostly land on the LZ-1 pad and rarely land on LZ-2, except in cases when a Cape Canaveral launched booster cannot land on LZ-1. Landing Zone 1 is located about 9 miles south of KSC Launch Complex 39A and about 5.6 miles to SLC-40. However, after nearly a decade of use, SpaceX is abandoning the lease of both landing zones to make room for two companies, Phantom and Via Space, as part of the Space Launch Delta 45 allocation strategy. This decision will become effective once the real property agreement is executed. Thus, SpaceX appears to be ending its use of landing zones 1 and 2 in the not-too-distant future. In preparation for this migration, SpaceX has identified Launch Site 39A as an alternative location for landing its Falcon 9 rockets, which is familiar to SpaceX. Currently, SpaceX is in the paperwork phase of this transition, working through the necessary legal and operational steps to facilitate the move from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station to Launch Site 39A. So, why doesn't SpaceX find another location than LC-39A, for example, SLC-40? Firstly, there's much more space around the Kennedy Space Center pads than there is around the pads down the Missile Row on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, CCSFS. Another point is that landing at CCSFS interrupts work on the Space Force Station, but landing up at 39A should allow most of Cape Canaveral to continue work. Frankly, the news of SpaceX's plans to build new landing pads for the Falcon 9 at Launch Site 39A has taken many by surprise, especially considering the company's assertion that Falcon 9 may be phased out within the next 6 years. Meanwhile, SpaceX operates 3 drone ships to facilitate landings at sea, but the increasing launch cadence is pushing the limits of these East Coast vessels. Not to mention, using drone ships might slow the launch cadence. This bold move to construct landing zones directly at the launch site reflects SpaceX's readiness to invest heavily in immediate needs, signaling a commitment to enhancing operational efficiency. As demand for launches skyrockets, more returns to launch site landings will be essential. With this strategic development, SpaceX is not just preparing for the future. They are actively reshaping the landscape of aerospace logistics. The construction of new landing pads is just one of many ambitious initiatives SpaceX has planned for the Kennedy Space Center. The billionaire's rocket company is setting its sights high, with plans to launch its colossal Starship rocket, taller than the Statue of Liberty, up to 44 times a year from this iconic location. To make this audacious launch cadence feasible, SpaceX recognizes the necessity of establishing a dedicated Starship production site in Florida. The chosen location is on Roberts Road, where existing facilities primarily support Falcon 9 operations. Recently, work has begun to clear a vast area of land north of the current site footprint for a new production facility, which will be as expansive as the entire Starbase production site. This monumental project, codenamed Hinton, aims to create a high-volume production facility, complete with a high bay and related infrastructure. Construction is slated to commence in January 2025, with an estimated cost of around $1.8 billion in capital improvements, promising to create 600 jobs with an average annual wage of $93,000. As the Roberts Road facility expands, rebuilding Starship's launch pad at Pad 39A is proceeding. Parts of a new, redesigned OLM have been seen at the Roberts Road facility, and these parts feature many changes from Starbase's first pad, now known as Pad A. They are arranged in a square configuration and incorporate a flame trench, marking a notable shift from the current water-cooled steel plate system, which has been used to manage the intense heat and forces generated by the engines, which has faced challenges. Over time, this system has shown signs of degradation, which raises concerns about its long-term effectiveness. Instead, a flame trench system has demonstrated its capabilities in tests with the ship at Massey. Although the flame trench system must be scaled up to handle the Super Heavy rocket's thrust, it is likely to offer a more durable solution for managing the extreme conditions of multiple launches. The design of the new OLM, with its square arrangement of parts, suggests that the traditional round ring may be replaced with a square configuration to accommodate the flame trench. This change could address some of the challenges associated with the water-cooled steel plate system and improve the overall performance of the launch mount. SpaceX started preparations for flying Starship from Pad 39A at KSC in late 2021, when Elon Musk wrote on X that construction of Starship orbital launch pad at the Cape has begun. However, no time indication was given. On the question of whether this would still be at LC-39A, Musk answered yes. Furthermore, he added that it will have similar but improved ground systems and tower to Starbase. To add to the certainty, a statement from NASA spokesperson Laura Aguirre also revealed that SpaceX is allowed to develop the pad in accordance with the leasing agreement from 2014 within the boundaries of the pad. The necessary environmental assessment was conducted in 2019. This, however, includes only the construction. For launch and landing, another approval process would be necessary. Construction began shortly thereafter. Nevertheless, the company's focus then turned to preparing the facilities at Starbase in Texas for initial flights of the full Starship system. In the meantime, the dismantlement of the OLM's legs at LC-39A started on the 12th of March 2024, without a reason. 1 month later, Elon Musk seems to have rebooted the plan to launch Starship from the Cape, with his announcement to have 2 launch towers at the Cape, with the first launch tower and launch system operational around the middle of 2025. The middle of 2025 will also witness the first launch from Florida. Not only launching, SpaceX also landed Starship at this location. This is manifested in the new environmental impact statement that the FAA leaked on June 11, 2024, reflecting changes in the vehicle since a 2019 assessment. A new EIS, the FAA concluded, is needed because of changes in the design of Starship and its operations since the 2019 assessment. SpaceX now proposes to construct additional launch infrastructure not previously contemplated in the 2019 EA, the FAA stated, including a catch tower for Super Heavy booster landings. The Starship/Super Heavy design itself has changed significantly since 2019, and SpaceX has discussed plans to further evolve the design. The 2024 EIS will be the second environmental review involving SpaceX's plans to use LC-39A for Starship launches. NASA completed an environmental assessment in 2019 of the company's plans at the time to build launch infrastructure at LC-39A for Starship, finding it would have no significant impact. At the time, SpaceX was planning up to 24 Starship launches from that pad annually. SpaceX now contemplates a higher launch rate, with up to 44 launches annually from Launch Complex 39A. The Super Heavy booster will also land back at Launch Complex 39A, while in the earlier EA SpaceX proposed landing the booster on a drone ship or at Landing Zone 1, the former Launch Complex 13 at nearby Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, used for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy booster landings today. SpaceX has already constructed some infrastructure at LC-39A for Starship missions, including a launch tower far taller than the existing one that is used for Falcon launches. That work, the FAA said, is covered by the scope of the 2019 assessment, but the EIS is needed for additional launch infrastructure to support booster landings and other launch needs, like a deluge system. The new study will run in parallel with an EIS being led by the Department of the Air Force for Starship launches from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. That study will examine the potential for using Space Launch Complex 37, which had hosted launches of the now-retired Delta IV, as well as a new site, SLC-50, that would be built between SLC-37 and the next pad to the north, SLC-40, used by SpaceX's Falcon 9. The FAA did not include a timetable for completing the EIS for Starship launches from LC-39A. The Space Force study kicked off with scoping meetings in March, and included a schedule that projected publishing a final EIS in September 2025 and a record of decision, selecting which site would be used for Starship launches a month later. All in all, it's exhilarating to witness SpaceX rapidly accelerating toward its ultimate goal, colonizing Mars. This ambition is vividly reflected in their recent strategic moves, relocating their headquarters from California to Texas, planning to have a landing pad at LC-39A, and ramping up Starship operational activities in Florida. Elon Musk has made it clear that these efforts are driven by an unwavering commitment to making life multiplanetary. With plans to send uncrewed missions to Mars as early as 2026, and crewed missions potentially following shortly after, SpaceX is not just dreaming. They are laying the groundwork for humanity's next giant leap. Overregulation, over-litigation, and high taxes are the public reasons why Musk is trying to move his empire SpaceX to Texas. Sure, those are valid reasons, but there's a darker undercurrent at play. After Donald Trump's victory, Musk had an epiphany. Staying in California could spell more disaster for his rocket empire. This stems from the fact that Governor Gavin Newsom has recently made ridiculous and wild statements, showing that he preens and plots his path to the White House. Imagine Musk's horror, trapped in a state run by a man whose ambition rivals his own. Stay tuned as we unravel this high-stakes game of political chess, where one billionaire is trying to escape the clutches of another's ambitions. There are many reasons for the emigration of Elon Musk's companies out of California. The most popular reasons include the excess regulations, high taxes, and a litigious environment that hampers business operations. The world's richest person described California as a place of over-regulation, over-litigation, over-taxation, which has become increasingly burdensome for his companies. A pivotal moment came with the passage of California's Assembly Bill 1955, which restricts schools from notifying parents about their children's gender identity changes. Musk labeled this legislation as the final straw, arguing that it represents an attack on both families and businesses. His criticism is particularly poignant given his personal connection to the issue, as he has an adult transgender daughter. However, in fact, there is another deeper motive for this move. I can call it Musk's fear of retaliation from Democratic officials. This is not unfounded. Since Elon Musk emerged as Donald Trump's most enthusiastic supporter in the race for the White House, he and his business empire, especially SpaceX, have become the target of the attack of Democrat officials. The first shot comes from the FAA, with a series of penalties so absurd that it's clear the political motives behind them are there. Then it was the California Coastal Commission's turn to deny more SpaceX rocket launches at Vandenberg, directly citing Musk's political posts on X. Even when Donald Trump, a Republican candidate, strides into the White House as the position of a winner, and later gives Elon Musk absolute power in government, this also can't eliminate the fact that California's politics has now evolved into a Democratic bastion. This is not just a story of shifting voter preferences. It's a dramatic saga filled with intrigue, conflict, and the high stakes of national politics. California has become synonymous with Democratic power, having voted for the party in every presidential election since 1992. Since 2008, Democrats have consistently garnered over 60% of the vote, often winning by margins that leave little doubt about their dominance. As the state has consistently leaned Democratic since 1992, Elon admits that he and his companies will have a tougher time staying at this place, particularly in the context of the ongoing political rivalry between California Governor Gavin Newsom and the new President Donald Trump. In a dazzling display of political theater, California Governor Gavin Newsom has taken center stage, boldly proclaiming that the Golden State has been a beacon of innovation and efficiency before Doge was Doge.
We've been working, before Doge was Doge. This is just like a promo project. We've been doing civil service reform in this state. We've been consolidating job classifications. We've been updating job descriptions in this state, and we waived those requirements. And in fact, I think it was in August, earlier August, we came up with your shop. We're going to double that next year. In fact, by 32,000, it'll be 62,000 positions. We will have eliminated those barriers and that requirement. So California's been a leader in that space.
Yes, you heard that right. While the rest of us were busy watching memes about a dog-inspired cryptocurrency, Newsom was allegedly orchestrating a grand symphony of government efficiency. His pièce de résistance? The elimination of 62,000 positions from the state payroll, which he touts as a monumental achievement in fiscal management. Bravo, Governor. Who knew that slashing jobs could be so avant-garde? But wait, let's not forget the glittering $24 billion California has spent fighting homelessness. This investment seems to have had all the impact of a wet paper towel, as the number of homeless individuals in the state has increased by 30,000 during this period. Perhaps Newsom's idea of fighting homelessness is akin to throwing money at a wall and hoping it sticks. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Moreover, let's talk about the California High-Speed Rail Project, a venture that has become synonymous with delays and budget overruns. For our ease of access, the Department of Government Efficiency has highlighted the key points in this corruption case. Originally projected, in 2008, to cost $33 billion, now projected to cost between $88.5 and $127.9 billion. Estimated completion date was 2020. As of 2024, 0 passengers have been transported, and the majority have not even been fully designed. Received $6.8 billion in federal funds, requesting $8 billion in additional federal funds. As Newsom champions his leadership in innovation, one can't help but wonder if he's using the same blueprint for efficiency that guided this project. Grand promises followed by endless delays and ballooning costs. So, do you agree that Gavin Newsom is a liar? If you agree, comment, "Newsom is a liar," in the comments section below. The nightmare, namely Gavin Newsom, has not ended here, as California governor has appointed Nathan Barrankin, a seasoned strategist and former advisor to Kamala Harris, as his new chief of staff. This decision is more than just a routine reshuffling. It signals a potential power play in the making. With whispers of a role reversal between Newsom and Harris, where she might run for governor and he sets his sights on the presidency, the stakes have never been higher. But what does this mean for the Golden State? As Newsom grapples with pressing issues like homelessness and budget deficits, Barrankin's appointment could be the ace up his sleeve. With an incoming Trump administration looming on the horizon, the dynamics of federal-state relations are set to shift dramatically, potentially complicating California's ambitious agenda. The intrigue deepens as speculation mounts about the strategic timing of this appointment. Could it be that Newsom is laying the groundwork for a future where he and Harris ascend to new heights of political power? As they position themselves for what could be a historic political maneuver, all eyes will be on California to see how this drama unfolds. In the case of SpaceX, Elon is so clever to move the firm's headquarters to Texas quickly. A majority Republican state amid Newsom's political move has increased more than ever. Anyway, without the political aspect, Texas also provides favorable conditions for the production and launch of rockets. Most importantly, Boca Chica Village near Brownsville offers proximity to the equator and access to the Gulf of Mexico. Thus, Elon Musk can envision Boca Chica as a gateway to Mars missions. Secondly, it offers significant benefits that the Golden State can't match. This place boasts vast open land that allows for large-scale operations and future growth. This availability of space is crucial for SpaceX as it continues to scale its production and testing capabilities, something that is increasingly difficult in the densely populated areas of California. With less traffic to contend with, employees can navigate their daily commutes more efficiently. This translates into increased productivity and a better work-life balance for SpaceX staff, enabling faster movement of personnel and resources. The lower cost of living in Texas, due to lower taxes, particularly regarding housing, makes it an attractive destination for young talent. Affordable homes can draw skilled workers who might otherwise be deterred by California's exorbitant real estate prices. The regulatory framework in Texas is generally less restrictive than in California, allowing SpaceX to operate with greater flexibility. This reduction in bureaucratic hurdles can accelerate development timelines and foster innovation. In 2014, Elon Musk formally announced Boca Chica had been selected as the Starship launch site, and construction began in 2015. So far, Starbase serves as SpaceX's primary launch site for Starship test flights, which demonstrate its reusable rocket technology. The most recent launch on November 19th represented the 6th test flight of the Starship launch vehicle, which proved successful with the first in-space burn of a single Raptor engine for deorbiting processes. SpaceX is preparing for a 7th test flight in January 2025, which will attempt another booster recovery at the launch site. Thousands of SpaceX employees work at Starbase, with several hundred living on site. The company credits the generation of hundreds of millions in income and taxes for local businesses and government to the launch facility. Given the remote location of the launch site, SpaceX already helps manage the area's roads and utilities and assists with schooling and medical care for residents through agreements with the county. This is not the first time turning Starbase into its own city has come up. SpaceX founder Elon Musk previously proposed the idea on social media in 2021. By then, SpaceX had contacted officials in Texas about incorporating the unincorporated village of Boca Chica, which is next door to SpaceX's Starship production complex. Musk's requirements surprised Cameron County Judge Eddie Trevino Jr. a little bit, because Trevino had never dealt with an incorporation request before during his tenure as judge, since such requests were few and far between these days. Not to mention the process of turning an unincorporated community into an incorporated city requires a number of steps, requiring a coordinated effort by residents, the approval of a majority of voters in the area, gathering signatures, and a petition to the county. It likewise requires plenty of legal expertise. Eventually, it was not until December 12th that a petition was officially filed with the support of Starbase residents. Incorporating Starbase will streamline the processes required to build the amenities necessary to make the area a world-class place to live. For hundreds already calling it home, as well as for prospective workers eager to help build humanity's future in space, SpaceX officials said in the petition. So, how will the transition impact on Texas? The most notable is in the economy. The establishment of Starbase as a city is anticipated to enhance job opportunities significantly. Currently, the facility employs over 3,400 full-time staff and contractors, and the incorporation could facilitate further workforce growth necessary for the rapid development of SpaceX's ambitious projects, particularly the Starship rocket program. Elon Musk has invested substantially in this area since his early days here, and he will increase his investments even more in the future once he sees this as the place where SpaceX's brain is located. Of course, besides Musk, it is impossible not to mention the huge investments from other investors. As a result, city status can enable better access to funding for public services, such as roads, utilities, and emergency services, which are crucial for supporting both residents and businesses alike. Texas is poised to run cleaner and more efficiently than any city worldwide. Additionally, becoming an official city could also provide Starbase with greater political leverage at both state and national levels. This increased visibility may lead to more significant investment from government entities aimed at fostering technological advancement and economic development in the region.
On Thursday, Elon Musk took to his social media platform X to announce his big plan saying the SpaceX headquarters will officially become Starbase City, Texas.
Goodbye, California. SpaceX headquarters will officially be in Starbase, Texas. Of course, this is not just mere relocation, but to make something that has never been seen before, turning the South Texas location into a literal gateway to Mars. As everything comes true, Texas will become an actual heaven, whereas California, under Newsom's era, will increasingly fall into crisis. Now this all began properly in the summer of 2014, when Elon Musk formally announced Boca Chica had been selected as Starship launch site. This gave tremendous validation for the border town, which had often been overshadowed by negative national rhetoric. Suddenly, Boca Chica was on the map, attracting attention from businesses and investors who began to see its potential. Construction began in 2015, transforming the remote area into a bustling spaceport. The site, later renamed Starbase, became the primary testing ground for SpaceX's Starship program. Elon Musk's vision of Mars colonization drove the rapid expansion of facilities and infrastructure. SpaceX's activity on the ground ramped up as rocket testing began in 2019. By 2020, Starbase housed production buildings, launch pads, and tank farms essential for Starship development. Since then, Boca Chica witnessed numerous groundbreaking events in spaceflight history, including the first successful high-altitude flight and landing of a Starship prototype that occurred in May 2021, the first orbital launch attempt of the full Starship system in 2022, and 6 Starship integration tests between 2023 and 2024. SpaceX's Boca Chica facility, known as Starbase, has become a crucial hub for the company's rocket development and testing. And now it has officially become SpaceX's headquarters, which was previously located in California. Billionaire Elon Musk on Thursday, December 12th, announced on X as, quote, "SpaceX headquarters will now officially be in the city of Starbase, Texas." This follows his decision earlier this year to move the headquarters of SpaceX and his social media company, X, from California to Texas, which stems from his long-term disappointment with the Golden State. The news immediately made people excited just a few hours after it was revealed. Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, shared on X, "This is excellent. Starbase, Texas. The official headquarters for SpaceX. Proud to have you in Texas." Locating SpaceX's headquarters in Starbase, Texas, presents numerous advantages for both the company and the local community. This strategic move taps into the burgeoning energy of a growing space sector, reduces logistical challenges for launches, and positions Texas as a global hub for innovation. Can't wait to see what breakthroughs come out of this move. So, how about you? Are you excited about this new change? Comment Texas if you feel the same way. Along with relocating the headquarters, SpaceX sent a letter to local officials requesting an election to turn the South Texas site, Starbase, into an incorporated city. According to Catherine Luters, the general manager of Starbase, the incorporation of Starbase as the newest city in the Rio Grande Valley will accelerate the process of recruiting the workforce necessary to rapidly develop and manufacture Starship. Frankly, Elon Musk has come up with that idea since 2021, and he wrote a social media post that simply said, "Creating the city of Starbase, Texas." By then, SpaceX had contacted officials in Texas about incorporating the unincorporated village of Boca Chica, which is next door to SpaceX's Starship production complex. Musk's requirement surprised Cameron County Judge Eddie Trevino Jr. a little bit, because Trevino had never dealt with an incorporation request before during his tenure as judge, since such requests were few and far between these days. Not to mention the process of turning an unincorporated community into an incorporated city requires a number of steps, requiring a coordinated effort by residents, the approval of a majority of voters in the area, gathering signatures, and a petition to the county. It likewise requires plenty of legal expertise. At the time I made this report, The Cameron County judge had not publicly replied to the request. But with SpaceX's persistence over the past 3 years, its huge contributions to the local economy over the years, and SpaceX's new position after the U.S. presidential election, I am confident that good news will come soon. If you are concerned that the process will be hindered by local residents, in reality, that is unlikely to happen. Residents of the area have already submitted a petition in support of this incorporation, signaling strong local interest in transforming the region into a thriving hub for aerospace innovation. They have a point. The desire for a safe and prosperous city resonates with many, including Texans, who long for the vibrant community that California once offered. With Elon Musk's decision to establish SpaceX's headquarters in Starbase, Texas, the hope for a brighter future has been floated again. The most notable change in Texas is in the economy. The establishment of Starbase as a city is anticipated to enhance job opportunities significantly. Currently, the facility employs over 3,400 full-time staff and contractors, and the incorporation could facilitate further workforce growth necessary for the rapid development of SpaceX's ambitious projects, particularly the Starship rocket program. City status often elevates a region's profile, making it more attractive to potential investors and businesses. Similar cases such as Doncaster became a city in the UK in 2022 after 828 years as a town. Thanks to that, this old area has become a bright tourist destination and is poised to attract a larger number of visitors. And of course, huge investors, promising greater economic opportunities. The transformation of Starbase could similarly position it as a hub for aerospace innovation and technology firms looking to establish a presence near SpaceX's operations. Elon Musk has invested substantially on this area since his early days in here, and he will increase his investments even more in the future once he sees this as the place where SpaceX's brain is located. Of course, besides Musk, it is impossible not to mention the huge investments from other investors. As a result, city status can enable better access to funding for public services such as roads, utilities, and emergency services, which are crucial for supporting both residents and businesses alike. Texas is poised to run cleaner and more efficiently than any city worldwide. Additionally, becoming an official city could also provide Starbase with greater political leverage at both state and national levels. This increased visibility may lead to more significant investment from government entities aimed at fostering technological advancement and economic development in the region. With that potential, it's no wonder that the wave of migration from California to the lower tax region of Texas will accelerate in the coming years. This stems from the reality that many companies are choosing to move out of California. Some notable examples include tech firms and manufacturers, such as oil giant Chevron, Tesla, Oracle, and SpaceX. Companies cite high costs of living, expensive taxes, and strict regulations as major reasons for their departures. Business leaders argue that these factors make it difficult to operate profitably in California. In the future, the matter will be more complex, as the Newsom administration has just unexpectedly raised taxes on California workers starting in January 2025. A small tax increase provides more money to the state's disability insurance program. The previous payroll tax increase was in January 2024, which will benefit workers with lower incomes, but high earners will pay the price. All of this would likely make California more expensive for high-income earners, exacerbating the state's lack of jobs and investment. However, this leads to a paradox, that once some high-profile companies moved their headquarters out of California, they have still retained a significant number of employees in the state. This means that while they may have shifted their main offices to other states, many workers continue to work in California and will keep paying the state's personal income tax. This may likely be disadvantageous to the businesses. Take Oracle, for example, decided to move its headquarters from Redwood City, California, to Austin, Texas, in 2020. Despite moving its headquarters due to California's business environment, Oracle still has a substantial workforce in California. As of spring 2023, Oracle employed around 6,900 workers in California, compared to 2,500 in Texas. This means that the majority of its employees remain in California. The employees who continue to work in the Golden State will still pay personal income taxes to the state. Although Oracle has not disclosed specific tax amounts due to confidentiality laws, we know that the company remains a significant taxpayer in California. In Redwood City, Oracle is still the largest employer, with approximately 3,757 employees, making up over 7% of the city's workforce. While Oracle has cut about 3,000 jobs there over the past decade, it continues to play a crucial role in the local economy. In conclusion, moving a headquarters does not necessarily mean a company escapes a strong presence and workforce in California. So far, it's unclear whether SpaceX is in a similar case to Oracle, since the company's headquarters in Hawthorne is a huge aerospace facility. In the long run, though, moving to a more favorable state like Texas is actually the right decision. Texas offers a more favorable business climate compared to California. The state has lower taxes and operational costs, which can significantly benefit companies like SpaceX. By relocating, Musk aims to reduce expenses related to employment and corporate taxes, making it easier for the company to grow and invest in its operations. The new headquarters at SpaceX's launch site in Boca Chica, Texas, is strategically located for aerospace operations. Being closer to the equator enhances fuel efficiency for rocket launches, which is advantageous for SpaceX's space missions. This location also allows for streamlined logistics and operations related to rocket testing and production. Last but not least, Texas, particularly cities like Austin, is becoming a hub for technology and innovation, often referred to as Silicon Hills. The state is home to a growing number of tech companies and startups, which creates a vibrant ecosystem that can attract talent and resources necessary for SpaceX's ambitious projects. The move of SpaceX headquarters to the Texas city of Austin from Palo Alto in California follows Tesla's move in 2021. To explain this, Musk cited California's regulations and taxes, and also clashed with health officials at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic over reopening a factory in Fremont. Musk called government restrictions amid the pandemic fascist. Frankly, this is the final straw, Musk later said on X. Tesla will now move its headquarters and future programs to Texas, Nevada immediately. If we even retain Fremont manufacturing activity at all, it will be dependent on how Tesla is treated in the future. He then defied lockdown orders and ordered restarting production in California until officials agreed to reopen the company's facilities with safety measures in place. Despite the signs of Musk's fraying relationship with California, both Tesla employees and state officials were floored by the announcement of the headquarters move and reportedly continue to question what it really means. Elon didn't even tell his team. D.D. Myers, California Governor Gavin Newsom's economy czar, said when asked if the state had been informed in advance of Musk's plans. We later talked to the leadership in his offices in California, who did not know until he made that announcement, she said. For nearly 2 decades, SpaceX has firmly established itself as the titan of the space industry, frustrating rivals and concerning new entrants with its relentless innovation and ambitious missions. However, a bold challenger has emerged from Louisville, Sierra Space, a young private company with a vision to disrupt the status quo. At the heart of this ambition is the Dream Chaser, a revolutionary spaceplane that combines the advantages of reusable spacecraft with the unique capability for runway landings. The potential of this vehicle is huge. Moreover, it is almost ready to fly. Once operational, many experts believe it will present SpaceX with a real challenge in maintaining its dominance. Inspired by the design of NASA's space shuttle, Combined with modern technologies, Sierra Space's Dream Chaser is notable for being the first commercial lifting body spacecraft capable of landing on conventional runways, setting it apart from traditional capsule designs. Like other modern spaceplanes, the Dream Chaser is a reusable multi-mission spaceplane, designed primarily for transporting crew and cargo to low Earth orbit. The spacecraft is part of NASA's Commercial Resupply Services program and is expected to support missions to the International Space Station starting no earlier than May 2025. For its first mission, sometime in 2025, Tenacity, the first model of the Dream Chaser spaceplane, will fly atop a United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur launch vehicle. It will carry about 8,500 pounds, 3,850 kilograms, to the ISS. NASA has contracted with Sierra Space for 7 cargo missions to the space station. With approximately 30 feet in length, the cargo version features foldable wings, allowing it to fit within a 5-meter diameter payload fairing for launch on various rockets, including the Vulcan Centaur. The spacecraft is covered with about 2,000 thermal protection tiles, compared to the 24,000 tiles used on the Space Shuttle. Those withstand re-entry heat and help maintain internal temperatures during orbit. The Dream Chaser can carry up to 12,000 pounds, approximately 5,443 kilograms, of cargo, including both pressurized and unpressurized items. An additional expendable module called Shooting Star can carry up to 10,000 pounds, 4,536 kilograms, of cargo. In addition to the cargo version, Sierra Space also has plans for a crewed version of its Dream Chaser space plane, which will carry 7 astronauts, similar to the capacity of the Space Shuttle, to low Earth orbit destinations. Designed for gentle runway landings, it can operate from runways worldwide and is engineered for rapid access to crew or cargo post-landing. The spacecraft can be reused more than 15 times, in line with the new trend of increased launch cadence in the space industry. Given those attractive features, the Louisville-based company expects its vehicle can serve as a reliable vehicle to carry astronauts and cargo to and from the Orbital Reef space station. Developed by Sierra Space and Blue Origin, Orbital Reef will be the premier mixed-use space station in low Earth orbit for commerce, research, and tourism by the end of this decade. Furthermore, the spacecraft's design allows it to be tailored for other commercial contracts with different missions based on customer needs, including potential international collaborations. It's safe to say that Sierra Space's ambitions are big, but in the current competitive landscape, it will face significant challenges, especially if it has to rival a formidable opponent in the field. It is SpaceX. Elon Musk's SpaceX has been a dominant force in the rocket market for nearly 20 years, leaving a profound impact on national space missions. The Crew Dragon spacecraft marked a historic return to crewed spaceflight from American soil, following the end of the Space Shuttle program in 2011. SpaceX's Falcon rockets have become essential for NASA and military operations, with the next-generation Starship being developed to transport astronauts to and from the lunar surface as part of NASA's Artemis program. Despite being so successful, SpaceX never rests on its laurels. Over the years, SpaceX has consistently increased its launch cadence. In 2021, the company completed 31 launches, accounting for approximately 20% of global orbital launches. This number nearly doubled in 2022, with 61 successful launches, representing about 30% of the global total. By 2023, SpaceX escalated its pace even further, achieving 96 launches and capturing over 40% of all global rocket launches. Fast forward to 2024, and as of December 8th, SpaceX has launched an impressive 128 rockets, comprising 123 Falcon 9, 2 Falcon Heavy, and 3 Starship missions. The company is aiming for a total of 148 launches in 2024, which would require an average of 1 launch every 2.5 days. SpaceX also helped redefine true reusability, which had been maligned during NASA's Space Shuttle era. As Elon Musk explains in his recent tweet, the Space Shuttle's reusable components were so challenging to refurbish that the cost per ton to orbit was significantly higher than that of the fully expendable Saturn V rocket. This difficulty led to a perception that reusability was impractical, ultimately setting back advancements in reusable spacecraft technology. SpaceX's achievements reflect its commitment to innovation and reliability in space exploration. With a record-setting launch rate and ambitious future plans, it continues to shape the landscape of the aerospace industry, while facing emerging challenges from competitors like Sierra Space's Dream Chaser. As the race for space intensifies, SpaceX's ability to maintain its lead will be closely watched by industry experts and enthusiasts alike. Sierra Space, on the other hand, also owns its advantages, enabling it to compete with the Titans. Sierra Space's Dream Chaser is poised to make a significant mark in the space industry, particularly due to its unique ability to land on conventional runways. This capability distinguishes it from traditional capsules like SpaceX's Dragon and Boeing's Starliner, which return to Earth via splashdowns in the ocean. While splashdowns are reliable, they come with inherent challenges such as rough landings, risks of seawater damage, and longer recovery times. In contrast, Dream Chaser's runway landing offers a smoother return, allowing for immediate access to cargo and crew upon landing. Dream Chaser is the only commercial lifting body spacecraft capable of landing on runways worldwide. This design not only enhances safety, but also facilitates quicker recovery and access to experiments and payloads. After landing, astronauts can disembark immediately, and researchers can access their experiments without delay, providing a significant advantage for time-sensitive scientific work. Despite these advantages, Sierra Space faces substantial hurdles in establishing Dream Chaser as a competitive alternative to SpaceX. A critical factor is securing a reliable launch supplier. Currently, Dream Chaser is slated to launch atop United Launch Alliance's ULA Vulcan Centaur rocket. However, there is a conflict in the schedule between the two vehicles, raising concerns about its readiness for upcoming missions. In June, the launch services provider announced that it skipped its customer, Sierra Space, to launch its CERT-2 mission in the fall, due to Dream Chaser's unreadiness. This directly pushed back Tenacity's maiden launch to an uncertain timeline in 2025, even though it arrived at Florida's Kennedy Space Center on May 20, 2024. Obviously, Dream Chaser, in this case, is in a passive position, as it has less control over scheduling its first launch date. It has to rely on its supplier, which is gearing up for its first national security launch in late 2024 or early 2025. Of course, ULA will prioritize the more important national missions. Moreover, to effectively compete with SpaceX's proven launch capabilities, evidenced by its record-breaking number of launches, Sierra Space must ensure that Dream Chaser has a dependable launch schedule. The success of its missions hinges not only on the spacecraft's innovative design, but also on the reliability of the rocket that carries it into orbit. It means Tenacity needs time to prove its reliability via government missions, not to mention that the company has to find a reliable rocket to launch its spacecraft. In the meantime, SpaceX's giant Starship rocket will enter service, replacing its predecessors, including the Falcon and Dragon. If everything goes to plan, SpaceX's dominance will be further increased. This was confirmed by SpaceX President Gwynne Shotwell at a financial conference on Friday, November 15th. Starship obsoletes Falcon 9 and the Dragon capsule, she said. Now we are not shutting down Dragon, and we are not shutting down Falcon. We'll be flying that for 6 to 8 more years, but ultimately, people are going to want to fly on Starship. It's bigger, it's more comfortable, it will be less expensive, and we will have flown it so many more times. As a fully reusable rocket, Starship is expected to be cheaper and have a higher payload capacity than both Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. By not throwing any part of the rocket after launch, Starship's cost per launch will go down significantly. SpaceX aims to achieve a cost per launch that could be as low as $10 million once operational efficiency is maximized. Compared to the $70 million per Falcon 9's launch, this price point will be much more attractive to any customer. In terms of the payload capacity, its next generation, Starship version 2, can carry more than 100 tons of payload to orbit, while the latest version, Starship Block 3, is projected to have a payload capacity exceeding 200 tons. This is something no vehicle has ever gotten before. Bear in mind that Falcon Heavy can carry only 63.8 tons to LEO in expendable mode, and even this number for NASA's Space Launch System rocket is only 130 tons. With such an incredible ability, SpaceX aims to dominate the space launch market, potentially exceeding 99% of all Earth payloads to orbit, contingent upon a high launch rate of its Starship rocket. Elon Musk envisions this rapid launch capability as essential for establishing a self-sustaining city on Mars, a dream that has captivated him for years. Musk has set an aggressive timeline, announcing that SpaceX will begin launching uncrewed starships to Mars as early as 2026. These initial missions will focus on testing the reliability of landing intact on the Martian surface. If successful, crewed missions could follow within 4 years. Musk emphasizes that the flight rate will grow exponentially after these initial missions, with the ultimate goal of building a self-sustaining city on Mars within 20 years. To achieve Musk's vision, SpaceX, from now on, must maintain a high launch cadence. The establishment of the Star Factory aims to produce 1 Starship per week, significantly ramping up production capabilities. With plans for multiple launch sites, including Cape Canaveral and Boca Chica, SpaceX could potentially exceed its current Falcon 9 launch rates, which already average 1 launch every 2.7 days 45. Nevertheless, to realize this ambitious plan, SpaceX must navigate several challenges. The success of early Mars missions is critical. Any setbacks could impact public and investor confidence. Furthermore, while Musk's vision is bold, it relies heavily on achieving rapid technological advancements and overcoming regulatory hurdles associated with interplanetary travel. In summary, with SpaceX's great advantages, it would be hard for a new entrant to rival the billionaire's rocket company. Conversely, it will be unfair if we underestimate Sierra Space's potential, especially its Dream Chaser spaceplane. And that just about wraps it up for today's episode. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next time.